advised, gas is closing in. Proceed to the safe zone. Set the drop point for your team.
Why not try this way?
Anyone needs it? You're clear to engage all targets. Supply cache ready for pickup.
Oh my god! Sorry guys. No beds.
This is the Gulag. Survive and you can redeploy. Fight's ready. Get yourself sorted. You're up next. Get ready.
Oh yeah, cheers.
Win here and you return to the front line. You lose, your fight is over. Time to earn your freedom, soldier. Stand by for redeployment.
When something comes up and I'm judging myself because everybody's going this way and I'm going that way and I'm like, I must be wrong. Right? I've been cut open. It is an opening so that there can be an awakening. People who are too healthy, people that are too healthy, too strong, require a breakdown, an opening. Their body has to physically be wounded so that they can be humbled. And some people, without their perspective, they allow the wound to fester.
Contract updated. New objective identified.
How many people have an injury, psychological, emotional, an abuse, or physical, or born with, and they allow it to destroy them? Right? They let the wound fester, and it turns, and they go down, and they stay down. These people will never rise up if never given perspective. These people will never rise up if they don't take responsibility.
Contract updated. New objective identified.
Ed can be a beautiful servant,
Moving.
or it could be a horrific master. Be more compassionate with yourself. Where a stronger version of yourself is grown. I mean, really knowing your power, your place, and your responsibility in this world.
Moving. Primary objective accomplished. All supply boxes found.
I don't want anything to happen. The first thing I gotta do is I've gotta train my brain. I've gotta brainwash myself into it being real.
Moving.
Big backup on south side of the city. We got a truck turned over near City Hall and all kinds of chaos down there. The word on the street says, if you don't have to travel, then stay home. And listen with me, Sammy Starrock.
Sammy Starrock comes from the School of Hard Knocks.
We're headed downtown where they're coming after this track, an exclusive on Rockstar recording session last week at our very own Mary Hale's studio. Take it away. 2 years ago when I first met you, it was a night I'll never forget. My head was spinning round, checking out the dust that might have cleared me out, and I swear you glided right on into the bar with a silky long blonde hair and the curves inside your little red dress.
I'll drive.
We present Kenneth Williams, Clement Freud and Geraldine Jones in Just a Minute, as the minute waltz fades away.
Moving!
Hello again and welcome once more to Just a Minute. The game, as a lot of you will probably remember, is a very simple one. I'm going to give these three members of the panel some unlikely subjects which they know nothing about, and ask them to speak for just a minute without hesitation, without repetition, and without deviation. And if any of the other two, either of the other two I should say, think that they are guilty of one of these crimes, they may challenge by pressing the buzzer, and if I uphold their challenge, they will gain a point, and if the challenge goes against them, the person who's speaking will gain a point. I think the rest of the game will become clear as we play, so let us start straight off with the person who's played it a bit before and knows quite a lot about it, Clement Freud. The subject is learning to fly, Clement. Would you like to try and talk for just a minute, starting now?
One would have thought that when you learn to fly, you need a plane, but this is utterly untrue. You need a black sword and a man with a white shirt and gold stripes on his shoulders, who has a pointer and draws...
Kenneth...
I challenge that. I don't see what...
Someone came through here.
I'll drive.
You needn't look so shocked. You needn't look so shocked.
Objectives updated. Move to the next location.
I see movement.
Primary objective accomplished. All supply boxes found.
I'm taking fire!
I'll drive. Get in.
Friendly drop back out the way. Medic! Gas is closing in. Relocating the safe zone. Your teammate was sent to the Gulag. They'll fight for a chance to redeploy.
Is there a point to all this? Let's find a point.
Does anyone need this?
Is there a point to my act? I would say there is. The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real. That's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they think it's fun. Is this real? Don't you get the ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride. And we kill those people.
second, beans, lemon Freud starting now.
Haricot, flageolet,
Commander
greens,
here if you need
and
equipment.
runner
I'll drive.
are the more common types of this vegetable we found in shops during the year. But they also come in tomato
Gas is
sauce
inbound.
in tins.
Fuck's sake. Go to that buy station. We'll get Minnie back. How do we...
Okay,
Yeah,
we're inside.
yeah,
Cancel movement.
Can't get in?
White shirt, now red, not bloody. Move on your tip, it does around like no one will take you. So free. Cruises on both my knees for you. Don't say thank you or please. What we are waiting to my soul. So say little.
Supply cache ready for pickup.
My chickens are dead tight. I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy.
Get it back, mate. We'll buy you back.
Sing along with me, but she won't sing this song if she reads all the things that she'll be deep.
Commander here if you need equipment.
Found a vendor. Get you supplies.
I'm that bad type, make your mama sit tight, make your girlfriend live tight, my chickens are
I'll drive.
tight. I'm the bad guy. Whoa.
I'll drive. You've got gas inbound. Safe zone relocated. Enemy UAV overhead. Contract updated. New objective identified. Someone came through here. Contract updated. New objective identified. Body armor
I'm
here.
moving.
Enlightenment, well, there are different notions of what enlightenment is, first of all. I mean, there's a soft version, a kind of Protestant version, where people say, well, enlightenment is something which comes and goes from each of us many times a day. If we could but cling to it, we would know it, and it is, you know, our absent friend weaving in and out of ordinary experience. That's the soft version of enlightenment. But then, you know, there's a hard version of enlightenment which says if a single sentient being attains enlightenment for a single nanosecond anywhere in the kiliocosm of eternity, then all sentient beings will instantly be sucked into the presence of the paranirvana, and the illusion of space and time will collapse, and the Tathagata will be imminent, and so forth and so on. I sort of like the hard version because it makes it easier to know when you're in the presence of it. It was, I don't know. I mean, this is an interesting question.
Primary objective accomplished. All supply boxes found. Sniper rifle here. You're being tracked by an enemy team. Evade and survive.
There's this whole story in King Arthur where the knights go off to look for the Holy Grail, which is either the cup that Christ drank out of at the Last Supper or the cup into which the blood that gushed from his side was poured when he was crucified. The stories vary, but it's basically a holy object, like the phoenix in some sense, that's a representation of transformation. So it's an ideal, and so King Arthur's knights, who sit at a round table because they're all roughly equal, go off to find the most valuable thing, and where do you look for the most valuable thing when you don't know where it is? Well, each of the knights looks at the forest surrounding the castle and enters the forest at the point that looks darkest to him. And that's a good thing to understand, because the gateway to wisdom and the gateway to the development of personality, which is exactly the same thing, is precisely through the portal that you do not want to climb through. And the reason for that's actually quite technical. This is a Jungian presupposition too, is that, well, there's a bunch of things about you that are underdeveloped, and a lot of those things are because there's things you've avoided looking at because you don't want to look at them, and there's parts of you you've avoided developing because it's hard for you to develop those parts. And so it's by virtual necessity that what you need is where you don't want to look, because that's where you've kept it. And that's why there's, an idiosyncratic element of it for everyone. Your particular place of enlightenment and terror is not going to be the same as yours, except that they're both places of enlightenment and terror. So they're equivalent at one level of analysis and different at another. So anyways, back to fiction and what it does. It distills truth, and it produces characters that are composites. And the more they become composites, the more they approximate a mythological character. And so they become more and more universally true and more approximating religious deities. But the problem with that is they become more and more distant from individual experience. And so with literature, there's this very tight line where you need to make the character more than merely human, but not so much of a god that, one of the things that happened to Superman in the 1980s, Superman started out, he's got a heavenly set of parents, by the way, and an earthly set of parents, and he's an orphan like Harry Potter. Very common theme is that when Superman first emerged, he could only jump over buildings, and maybe he could stop a locomotive, but by the time the 1980s rolled around, like he could juggle planets and, swallow hydrogen bombs, and he could do anything. Well, people stopped buying the Superman comics because how interesting is that? It's like something horrible happens and Superman deals with it. And something else horrible happens and Superman deals with it. And it's like, that's dull. He turned into such an archetype. He was basically the omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent God, and that's no fun. It's like God wins, and then God wins again, and then again God wins, and so then they had to weaken him in different ways with kryptonite. So green kryptonite kind of made him sick, and red kryptonite, I think, kind of mutated him, if I remember correctly. And anyways, they had to introduce flaws into his character so that there could be some damn plot, and that's something to think about. There's a deep existential lesson in that your being is limited and flawed and fragile. You're like the genie, which is genius in the little tiny lamp. This immense potential, but constrained in this tiny little living space, as Robin Williams said when he played the genie in Aladdin. But the fact that you have limitations means that the plot of your life is the overcoming of those limitations, and that if you didn't have limitations, well, there wouldn't be a plot, and maybe there would be no life. And so that's part of the reason why perhaps you have to accept the fact that you're flawed and insufficient, and live with it and consider it a precondition for being.
Got the gas moving in.
Okay, we're inside. Scan for movement.
Request recon flyover! UAV entering the AO. Moving. advised, UAV is bingo fuel. RTB for resupply. Enemy UAV overhead. Gas is inbound.
Request
Marking
recon
new safe
flyover.
zone. UAV entering the AO. Only 25 left. Keep up the good work.
Grenade out! Throwing stun!
Be advised, UAV is bingo fuel. RTB for resupply. You're losing ground.
We're in safe zone. Watch for enemy. Target down! Sniper rifle here.
Gas is closing. Get to the new safe zone.
Moving here.
Taking fire! Grenade out!
Enemy precision airstrike. Get down. Losing ground.
Get to the safe zone!
Less than 10 remain. You're close now.
Taking fire!
Damn it!
I've got you! We have a long way
Gas
to
is
go. Let's
closing.
move.
Get to the new safe zone. Last chance, soldier. Kill or be killed. Mark a drop point for your team. You'll lead them in. Less than 5 remain standing. You're all that's left. Get it done.
The truth is, you're perfect, just right where you are. We all are perfect right where we are. Whatever your circumstances are right now, it is 100% perfect, because it's exactly where you are. There's nothing more than what is. Many times we want the thing before doing the thing. Well, I want to think positive. I'm going to start trying to think positive. I say, well, thinking positive, that's probably where to begin. That's definitely where to begin. That's 100% where to begin.
Yeah!
Shut him up. We have a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up! Has to be real. It's just a ride. And we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love.